Application, checkpoint application and URL filtering. Important topic, interesting topic, and this is most likely related to the next generation features of the checkpoint firewall, where we can actually apply our policy rules based on the application and URL filtering URL as well. So basically what we are going to discuss, what is the app ID, what is an application, what is an application, what is an app ID, okay, evasive application, app ID versus URL filtering, lab configuration, and question answer. So app ID, as you know, the next generation firewalls nowadays, now they just not look for the source, destination, and port number, but they are more intelligent. They can go ahead up to layer 7, and they can check the application signature. So for example, if user is going to YouTube, for example, or Skype actually, or MSN, or WebEx, for example, Google Talk or Google application, Facebook, something like that, the firewall not just check the source, destination, port number, but it has actually has the capability to understand based on the signature, is it really a YouTube, is it really a Facebook, is it really a Oracle, is it really a Google? So they are more intelligent. So let's just discuss what is application actually. So the term application does not have any industry acceptance definition such as session or packet. So unlike packet or session, the session and packet, they have well-defined definition, but application itself, if you talk about what is application, it doesn't have much defined definition for application. The application can be delivered through a web browser. Okay, most likely, like you can go to the Facebook, Amazon, YouTube through the web browser, or client server model, or decentralized peer-to-peer design. So for example, Skype, Team, nowadays, or Zoom or other thing, they are like a client server. You are a client, they are a server. Okay, so or you can install the application inside your computer and you can access the server as well. Application will include business tools, services which will be need to be allowed, as well as the entertainment or personal need service which will be blocked. So this is just a general definition of application. So now let's see why we need to use application feature and what is the inherent problem by using these services only. So there is a term called evasive application. Evasive application, the behavior of the evasive applications is they can change the port number. Okay, so for example, if you talk about the Yahoo and BitTorrent, generally these applications are responded to 5050 or 6681. However, if the application block these application or these ports, they have the capacity or tendency to change themselves to a different port, for example, port 80. And as a result, they can actually trick the firewall, they can deceive the firewall based on that, okay, it's because if the port 80 is allowed from anybody, so that means they can get through in. So these are called evasive applications. So two evasive applications we have given, Yahoo and BitTorrent. There, what they do normally, if they normally behave on 5050 or 6681 respectively, but if you block them, they can still try to change some other ports. Okay, and as a result, they can still get through, even through you have the book. So now that is the problem where we can see if the applications are just only looking for the port number, they can see application. So there can be communication is still possible. So nowadays applications are so intelligent, they can change the port number. So we are giving you 2 or 3 scenarios to understand fully in detail why we need application. So traditional firewall using port number to block the traffic to allow services such as DNS firewall is configured for allow the port 53. In this example, the end result is the same. DNS traffic is allowed, however this will result. So let's just talk about this DNS traffic. So basically, what happened? Okay. As we see the DNS traffic, for example, the DNS traffic is allowed in your firewall. So in legacy firewall like ASA, old ASA or the other devices we have before next generation firewall, if the port 53 is allowed, DNS is allowed, but BitTorrent is also allowed, because BitTorrent can change the application from the services to another to the default port to some other port. So as a result, BitTorrent DNS is also allowed and BitTorrent is also allowed as well. When you talk about the next generation firewall with the app ID configure, right? So what you can see is they can only allow the DNS traffic. The BitTorrent will be disallowed. The reason is because the BitTorrent is actually an application. If you identify the application, the BitTorrent will be allowed, because now the application, the firewall is so intelligent. If it get through by 53 previously, now application is not checking the port number, but is also checking the application signature. So if the application signature for DNS are different than the BitTorrent, actually, of course, the application will be denied. So that's the first scenario. Second scenario would be BitTorrent. Okay, BitTorrent with the application IPS. So now, in previously, what we were doing, actually, we were deploying many of the companies, they were deploying IPS separately. However, if you deploy a firewall plus IPS, both of them, what could happen if the DNS is allowed and BitTorrent can actually deceive the firewall, but if the IPS is installed, it can still block by the IPS. So basically, right now, when you use the legacy firewall, you need two devices, application firewall separate and IPS separate. But now, with the case of next generation firewall with app ID, if you just use the app ID, basically, what you can do is you can just only allow the DNS traffic and the BitTorrent will be blocked, because you don't need a separate IPS. The IPS functionality is already built into the firewall. That's the second scenario. The third scenario could be when you have a zero-day malware. And in the zero-day malware, for example, you have IPS as well. You have DNS is allowed, BitTorrent is allowed, but BitTorrent is blocked by the, for example, the IPS. But IPS does not have the capability to allow to actually block the zero-day or command and control type of traffic. But however, firewall nowadays have these these sandbox feature which can actually block the unlegitimate traffic as well, or where there is no signature available. So this is, I just gave you 2 or 3 scenarios to understand how we use the app ID. Everybody's clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. Similarly, the URL filtering. The URL filtering is a feature. The URL filtering is a feature to feature of the content ID. URL filtering process the traffic solely based on the URL association. Nothing else is the packet is evaluated during the check. URL. So nowadays we are using the URL every other day. Okay. So basically, what we every day when we go to the website, we just say bbc.com. Okay, each URL nowadays, they have the so you see this, if you nowadays whenever the website is categorized, whenever the new websites come online, different companies, cybersecurity company, they categorize them in a differently. If I just want to, for example, the checkpoint, I want to see which category it belongs to. Just 1 minute. So for example, if I want to check the bbc.com, check the URL. So you see this is come under the media. You can request for the change of the category in case some problem. So you can see there are many categories are there. Tobacco, alcohol, art, botnet, email, fashions, games. So there are thousands of categories, hundreds of categories there. Okay, each website you can see there always comes under the different category. Another URL check, if you want to check another URL, for example, I can see bet365.com. So you can see this belong to gambling site. Okay, if I check the hsbc.co.uk, this belong to, for example, financial services. So you can see there are many category. Every website has a different category. Okay, so news, gambling, financial industry, there are many websites we have. So what it is saying is that the URL point of view, if you want to, so we can apply policy based on the URL category. We can create some exception. We can allow the traffic. As of now, our firewall, our device, our traffic is going through, for example, from our test machine to any type of category. So this is my test machine as per my topology. This is my test machine 201.51.1, and the traffic need to go to the internet, for example. So right now the internet should be working. Right. So for example, I go to BAT 365. You can see it's working. If I go to HSBC, so now you can see my internet is working. Okay.